It was late at night, towards the end of winter. Lakeview, an upscale neighborhood on the north side of Chicago, was shrouded in dense fog. The streetlights were growing dim and blurry. It was on that very deserted night, on the fourth floor of an old luxury apartment building named Maple Crest Residences, that an event occurred. One that would keep the entire city terrified for the next few months. Retired history professor Richard Henley and his wife Eleanor Henley lived in that flat. This polite, educated, and mild-mannered couple was respected by everyone. Their only daughter, Olivia, had moved to Seattle many years ago. As a result, the elderly couple lived alone.
To take care of them, 24-year-old caregiver Sophia Martin had been hired a few months ago. The girl quickly won the trust of the family. Eleanor often used to say, "Sophia is now a member of our family." Monday morning, November 15. Like every day, Maria, the cleaning staff, arrived at the flat around 8 in the morning. But that day, something was unusual. The outer security gate was open, yet the main door was locked from the outside. Maria rang the bell a few times, but received no response. Still, one thing caught her attention. The faint sound of a television was coming from inside.
The kitchen light was also on. Maria had an extra key. With trembling hands, she opened the door. The moment she opened the door, a terrifying scream escaped her mouth. Sophia was lying bleeding on the white carpet. Her right hand was extended, as if reaching out to someone for help at the last moment. An overturned coffee mug lay beside her. The police arrived and discovered an even more horrific scene. Richard and Eleanor Henley were lying on the bed in the master bedroom. The room was messy. Drawers were open, papers were scattered, and the closet was ransacked. But the scene in the living room was strangely peaceful. The ashes in the fireplace were still warm. On the table stood 2 wine glasses, a half-eaten cheese platter, and an old jazz music record was playing. It looked as though a normal hangout had been going on there just a few hours ago. Detective Daniel Brooks was assigned to the case. A 20-year veteran officer, he realized from day one that this was no ordinary robbery, because many valuable things inside the house were untouched. Expensive watches, cash dollars, and even Eleanor's diamond bracelet were left behind. What then was the killer looking for? The forensic team recovered 2 distinct fingerprints from the wine glasses on the table. One belonged to Sophia, the other to a stranger. Security footage showed a woman wearing a black coat entering the building at 10:58 p.m. A few minutes later, a man arrived on a black motorcycle. At 2:17 a.m., the two were seen leaving the building. This time, their clothes had changed. They had duffel bags in their hands. The investigation brought forward a new name, Victoria Blake. She had been visiting the Henley couple's house for a few weeks. She had introduced herself as the daughter of one of Eleanor's old students. When Daniel began digging into Victoria's past, he was shocked. Victoria had also been seen at the house of an elderly businessman in Boston before his mysterious death 2 years ago. An even bigger surprise came later. Victoria's boyfriend, Adam Cross, was a former correctional officer who had lost his job due to corruption allegations. After that, he got entangled in gambling and debt traps. He owed nearly $200,000. The forensic report showed that Sophia had resisted until the very last moment. The skin fragments found inside Sophia's fingernails matched Adam's DNA. But the biggest turning point in the investigation came when the cyber unit recovered a deleted voice message from Sophia's phone. In a panicked voice, Sophia was saying in the message, "They haven't just come to steal. Eleanor Ma'am has found out something," and then the recording abruptly cut off. Daniel understood that there was a much bigger mystery behind this. The investigation revealed that Richard Henley had collected a rare historical document while working at the university many years ago. It was said to be a secret document from the World War II era with a black market value of several $1 million. Very few people knew about it. Daniel suspected, where did Victoria get such specific information? He began searching through the university's old records. That was when another name surfaced, Professor Harold Stein. Harold was Richard's colleague of many years. Although they seemed like close friends from the outside, in reality, there was a long-standing feud between them. 20 years ago, during an academic debate over that rare document, Harold had claimed that the document was part of his research, but the university gave ownership to Richard. Harold could never forget that insult. An even more terrifying piece of information came to light. Harold had been secretly keeping in touch with Victoria for the past 6 months. Bank transactions showed that several $1,000s had been sent to Victoria's account from an unknown source. Seeking the source, the police discovered that the money came through Harold's shell company. Now, the whole picture began to clear up. Harold was using Victoria. The plan was for Victoria to first gain the trust of the Henley couple and then steal the document when the opportunity arose. But on the night of the incident, all plans fell apart. While Victoria was serving wine to Eleanor, Eleanor suddenly recognized her. A few days earlier, she had seen Victoria in Harold's office. Suspecting something, Eleanor went to warn Richard. Sophia also began to understand the whole situation and secretly started recording on her phone. That was when Adam lost control. First, Sophia was attacked. Then the elderly couple was killed as well. But the biggest shock came later. Even after ransacking the entire house, they could not find the document. Because a few months ago, Richard had deposited it in the university's secure archive. After the murder, they messed up the rooms to stage a robbery drama. They fled with some jewelry and cash so that the investigation would go down the wrong path. They thought they had erased all evidence. But during the scuffle, Adam mistakenly left his old leather gloves behind. The DNA obtained from those gloves turned the whole case around. 4 days later, Victoria and Adam were arrested from a motel in Milwaukee. After her arrest, Victoria initially denied everything. But when Daniel played her the bank records, phone calls, and Sophia's recovered voice message, she broke down. Crying, she confessed. Harold told us just to bring the document. He said no one would get hurt. Following this confession, the police raided Harold Stein's house. But arriving there, they discovered something even more horrific. Harold was lying dead in his study room. There was a bullet wound to his head. A small note lay on the table. Everything has spun out of control. Although the incident initially looked like a suicide, Daniel had his doubts. The forensic report revealed that Harold had been shot from a very close range, and the footprints of another person were also found inside the room. In other words, someone had silenced him. The investigation finally brought out the darkest truth. Adam had realized that if Harold remained alive, he would blame everything on them to save himself. Therefore, on the night before they fled to the motel, he had gone to Harold's house and murdered him. But he did not know that his car had already been caught on the traffic camera near Harold's house, which later tied all the clues of the investigation together. After assembling all the evidence, the entire conspiracy was exposed in court. The greed for a rare historical document, the pressure of debt, the fire of revenge. All in all, the lives of 3 innocent people came to an end. A few months after the case was closed, Detective Daniel went back to that empty apartment again. The fireplace was extinguished, the room was dark, but that old jazz record was still lying on the table.
Daniel stared silently for a while. Then he said softly, "Greed makes a person a killer, but secret truths make a person a monster."